Welcome to another episode of Zero Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today I am so excited to have on a 24-year-old from Cobourg, Ontario, Canada. His hockey journey has taken him to Canada, the USA, and England. A staple with the Quinte Red Devils, became a champion with Port Hope Panthers, and then became a champion again with the Trenton Golden Hawks. He then headed west and looks like he nearly won again, lacing up for 24 playoff games with the Prince George Spruce Kings. Mucked it up with the University of Windsor, and a year in the coast of mucking it up. He is now making his mark in the EIHL with the Manchester Storm and mucking it up and chucking knuckles with some of the toughest fellas in the game. Welcome to the shed, Chays, Ruddy.
Happy to be here. Appreciate you having me on.
Hey, thanks for coming, man. And I get into how we know each other. Your Storm fans reached out after, a few of your fisticuffs, and they want you in the shed. They want to get to know you.
Yeah, I'll take any opportunity for the fans to get to know me a little better. And obviously the fans here in Manchester, especially after the chocolatey Saturday that it was last week, we'll take the opportunity as it comes.
So yeah, that is how we know each other. Is I had on your captain Critch, and I said I wanted to start a marketing thing with the Storm fans, and I thought it'd be really cool if we could get chocolate thrown out on the ice in Manchester. And I never played there, and by gosh, we didn't we?
Yeah, no, none of us really had any idea that it was actually going to occur. Like we had.
Did you know we had talked about it? And he was like, "Hey, like this donkey over in Canada is saying like they might throw chocolate if we talk about it."
We didn't see or hear too much from Critch, but I'm on Twitter a fair amount, so I saw little I guess kind of tweets and little snippets of it, and then obviously once we won that game, unfortunately I wasn't on the ice, but I was still in the building to witness all the chocolate get thrown on the ice. And I personally don't like chocolate, so some very considerate fan got some Skittles, taped them up, put my name on them, and chucked those on the ice for me. So
Actually,
that's still very included.
Why weren't you on the ice?
I got thrown out 8 seconds in.
8 seconds into the match? What'd you do?
Yeah. There's a little bit of retribution to a bad hit to our best player from 2 weeks ago, and their player didn't exactly want to fight, and I kind of forced him into it. And
you got right up in his business. Yeah.
Yeah, the refs didn't appreciate that, so they gave me the boot.
Yeah, sometimes the players in hockey are supposed to police themselves, and there's a lot of suspensions and stuff where they try and police the game through that instead of the guys figuring it out. I got beat up a few times, and I learned really quick what I could and couldn't do out there,
Fair enough. Everybody has that awakening moment.
Yeah, I had a couple in the coast my first year pro. One, Matt Hernizen came in, third guy in. Thanks, buddy. 10-game suspension to save my life. So thank you. I won't do that again. It was a bad one. I did the old whammy, and the guy went into the end boards, feet first. And then the big guy came off. Yeah, guy came off the bench right at me, and I was like, "Oh dear, here we are." Yeah,
just scared for your face at that point.
So, did you actually get to get him though? Did you fight him, or did the ref stop it?
I got punches in on him, but there was nothing returned.
Mm-hmm. And then they tried to break it up, and he just took it, didn't fight back.
Yeah, he turtled.
Shoot. So anyways, the chocolate did happen though, and that's cool. So you don't like chocolate. So how we know each other is like by the next morning, somebody had tweeted out a picture of you as Willy Wonka, right?
That was some great Photoshop work. I couldn't.
Isn't it crazy how fast things can happen in the shed here in Carden, Ontario? I talked
impressive.
to Critch 2 days before that, and next thing you know, there's a poster of you as Willy Wonka, chocolates being rained down. You guys beat the Sheffield Steelers, and I hear it was good old-fashioned Donnybrook. Critch told me it was just a really fun game to play and that they really mucked it up. Had a blast.
Yeah, I was pretty jealous I didn't get to stay in for the whole thing because it looked pretty fun out there. But there was the count on penalty minutes in that game would have been fairly high.
Mm-hmm. And I just find it very interesting when I set up fun stuff in the shed that these shed guys always come through in the clutch. Like, I just find it interesting that you guys won that game against Sheffield. You know,
Yeah, fair enough.
winning is fun, folks.
Do you give a shed bump?
Shed boost, it's called.
Shed boost.
Yeah,
There
so
it is.
shed boosts are when people come and get to talk about what they do and how much their careers and whatnot. Makes them feel better, you know, and then they go out there and run amok. It's called a shed boost.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So it's happened before, you know. I think it is a thing. So I know I feel a lot better when I get to do this. This is the best part of my day, you know. So there you go. Right.
Let's hope that carries through. I'll take a shed boost any day.
Exactly. So another way I guess I had on Ginner and Finner, but when Ginner came on, I said, so who on your team, like if Big Lou's running amok with your squad from Cardiff there, who's gonna step up and fight that guy? And he was like, oh, we're team toughness. But then the next night, Shed Boost, you fought Big Lou.
Yeah.
Did you
so
know
I've
who you were
gone,
fighting? Did you know what you were doing?
obviously when you step into a league and when you play teams, you kind of get the gist or the down low on who's tough on the other team and things of that nature. And pretty much coming into this league, I was given a warning about Mark Lewis and Matthew Gagnon.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately or unfortunately, I've fought Lewis twice now and I've gone Gags once.
Did you
It's a
anticipate doing this season? Was this on your
yeah,
bucket
kind
list
of.
of things to do?
Yeah. Yeah, bucket list or die in the process. I'm not too
Well,
sure which
I
one was
like
going through my head, but
that's kind of why I wanted to have you on the shed here, is I wanted to dive deep to find out what's going on in there, because I can't imagine fighting Mark Lewis. I played in a testimonial with him this summer, and I sat beside him. I saw how big he was, and then like I've seen him I've seen some of the videos, and I wouldn't want any part of that. But that's on your to-do list, so that's cool. I like
yeah.
that. That's
I
hockey.
mean, I've got some background in fighting, I guess. I fought a bit in the coast. I fought in junior, things of that nature. I would not consider myself a heavyweight by any means, but
But you are fighting
if
them.
if it needs to happen, I'll stand in the ring with them. That's for sure.
Well, good for you. That's interesting. So how'd it go against Gagnon? I don't know that guy.
Actually,
I've heard the tales though. I know it's
yeah,
not
the
a guy
tails.
that, yeah.
So what happened was Critch actually, I don't know if he hit a guy or a guy ran into him and he ended up getting kicked out of the game, but the guy was unfortunately fairly injured on the ice. And Gags wanted somebody to answer for the hit. So before I let him grab anybody else, he was asking me to go. And then sooner or later, I was like, okay, let's get this out of the way. Let's go. And
Mhm.
then he actually took his helmet off going into the fight. And usually I prefer to not fight with my helmet on unless you're going against the big of the bigs. And
Right.
pretty,
But when
so
you guys square off, is it not normal to take your buckets off?
you get an extra 10 minutes in this league. And then when I squared off on the coast a few times, the bucket stayed on. So in the pro ranks, I haven't,
Mhm.
that would be the only fight that I've taken my
Seems to
helmet
be
off prior to
changing, but
for.
yeah, it seems to
Yeah.
be changing all the year. They like to tighten up the rules on the old
Yeah.
fisticuffs. Yeah.
But Gags played here last year. So I had all the insider information on exactly kind of how tough he was and everything.
Mhm.
So going into that one, it's your heart's in your asshole and
Yeah. Right
your
in there.
thought process
Hmm.
is
And
get a good grip
you know,
and
like kind it, so this happened during the game, a hit or whatever, and then it's happening. It's not like you had the night before to sleep on it, right?
yeah, exactly.
Because I know, like, I would talk to Hendo, my buddy that I used to have to protect when I was a player. Um, he would when we would go for beers, he would talk to me about like the anxiety of like the night before, and like he would know he'd have to fight Nickerson or Westgarth or whoever, and he'd say it would be difficult to sleep sometimes. And you know, I never had that because I was just like, I got to go out and try and score goals.
Fair
muck it
enough.
up. So,
I'm not scoring goals, so I'd be on the
right.
other end of that spectrum. But
But how is it? Is
yeah,
there
there
ever
was
times you're going the next day and it might be against a big fella?
there's always it's always in the back of your mind. Obviously hockey's a fast sport, things happen quickly. There's guys on our team that will stick up. We are fairly team tough, but if there's something brewing and the game's getting a little out of hand, I guess I'm usually the guy who's gonna go
Willing
in
and
and
gonna do it.
either take a beating on the behalf of the team or dish one out.
So
So
how are these fights going? Are you winning any of these?
uh so I would be 0 for 3 against
Right.
Lewis and Gags,
Yeah, well, that's
which
that's gonna
that's
happen,
that's
But you
kind of
hung in there, kid. Way to go.
it's kind of expected. Lewis has got me pretty good twice, so
Right.
I wouldn't even
Well,
say I've hung in against him. I hung in against Gags, but I had a death grip on his jersey, and it was like just stay away from the right hand. So I
uh,
made it through probably 25 seconds with Gags. He dropped me with an uppercut at the end, but
jeepers.
I mean, I was in there. But
Okay.
other than that, I think I've got 5 other fights that I've done fairly
Five
well in so
five
far.
more fights on top of that. How many games have you guys played?
20.
You've been busy.
Yeah, apparently.
And sorry, folks, I don't have an editing team. And right when we're about to start this on the lunch hour, the concrete fellas showed up next door. So what a mess, If you can hear
All
this,
good.
not much I can do about it, folks. We're still looking for an editing team. But folks, next game in the shelter, right? The Storm are going to start running amok in the shelter, and there is going to be more and more chocolate every match, right?
Well, let's hope. I mean, the guys
I'm just
enjoyed
guessing
it.
it's going to be a storm of chocolate, but I guess you're looking for Skittles, eh?
Yeah, if anybody's listening to this from the storm shelter, we'll just limit it at like 2 packs. I don't need the extra calories in the diet.
That's right. Yeah. Might tire in the later rounds and all this. So you fought 8 times in 20 games?
Yeah, it's 7 or 8 times now.
Jeepers creepers. That's quite a bit. Okay. Poster pics. Loved the picture I just put up of you with like your crew behind you. That was with the Trenton Golden Hawks, right?
Yeah, so I'll shout out Section 7. That's what they call themselves there. They're the diehard fans in Trenton. We have a great, or we had, they still have a great support group there. Those guys, they get the drums out. They're at every event, every team event.
They looked like
Obviously,
they
he's
were having
got,
fun in the barn there. They did.
oh, yeah. So I'm sure they had a little bit of liquid courage in them for that
Mhm.
game, being a championship game and all. But it was a great moment to win there, especially in a home ice. So it's something I'll never forget.
So that's tier 2 junior A, right?
Yeah, so that's a step below the OHL in Ontario.
Right. So that and you won your league and then you go to like all of Canada, right? Is that how it works?
Yeah, so we won back-to-back Dudley Hewitt Cups, which obviously there's multiple leagues in Ontario,
Mm-hmm.
and the Dudley Hewitt is the championship between all the teams of Ontario.
Okay.
So like all the league winners and then the host, and then we would head to I don't know what it's called now, but it used to be the
RBC.
RBC Cup,
So
which
you
is the
won of
national
all
championship.
Ontario just to get to the RBC. So yeah, you guys were good then. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had a couple solid teams back in the day, that's for sure.
So poster pick here still is graduation one. Was that University of Windsor?
Yes, so that was actually this past April. So I graduated business with honors and then specialized in supply chain management and
There you
business
go.
analytics.
Holy moly. Business analytics, eh?
Yeah, it was a good one. Lots of fun.
You know how to get sponsors for the shed? I haven't figured it out yet. I
See what I
got
can
my
do for you.
MBA and I can't figure out how to make money. And there's 73 countries have listened to 125,000 times, and I still don't make money. It's embarrassing.
Yeah,
And
you
I
got to
got my
figure out how to
MBA. You got to
monetize
figure
it.
that. Yeah, you got to figure something out, right? Because it really is fun. Another poster pick is you are punching a Steeler in the face, it looks like. Who's that? Do you know?
Yeah, that was the 8 second fight
Oh.
on Saturday night. So that would have
Oh,
been
that's the
Dave.
guy. So who is the guy
Yeah,
that had the bad hit that you're trying to fight?
that would have been Davy Phillips.
He's been to the shed. He's a shed guy.
Yeah, very nice.
And then wasn't that the guy Critch got in a dust up with later on then?
Yes, actually, Critch did end up, I believe, fighting him later on in the game as well.
Hmm.
So
Sounds
he had a long
sounds
night.
like the fellows are just mucking it up. Okay. And then the other picture for your poster was the Kansas City. And that doesn't seem like a hockey hotbed to me, but the rink looked nice. Is it a hockey hotbed, Kansas City?
We had some pretty good fans. We weren't full every night, but there were certain games where we'd sell out the barn and it was pretty electric in there.
How many people are we
Um,
talking?
4,500, I think it was.
That's a good size barn.
5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. So they've got a great facility there.
Okay. And then the other poster pics were when you were with the Prince George Spruce Kings. So I thought the white jerseys were quite unattractive. I didn't think it looked like a nice jersey. It looked like a beer league jersey, but the blue one looked nicer. When you're in the hallway there, you looked like passionate celebration or something there with the fans, eh?
Yeah, so both those pictures that I had sent you, first off, I will disagree. I do really like the white jerseys there too. Maybe it's just the picture doesn't do them justice,
Mm,
but
yeah.
both those pictures were after game seven, or one was after a game seven victory, and the other one was after beating a team to force a game seven that we hadn't beaten their home barn all year.
Oh, nice. And you did play a lot of junior playoff games, eh?
Yeah, there is a lot.
Like you
So
played more playoff games than some guys, like a lot of junior careers at all, like games played, right? Like you probably had, if I'm doing the math in my head quick from the research team, I'm thinking you played about 80 playoff games in junior, 65 to 80.
yeah, I would say, yeah, the years with Trenton, we kind of walked through playoffs, so they're pretty much 16 in and out.
Okay.
Um,
That doesn't
but
sound
yeah,
very fun. You didn't even have to muck it up to win.
not a crazy amount. I mean, the first year, the final series, the fourth series only went to game five. And we went 4 games, 5 games, 4 games, 5 games to win the league.
Interesting. That sounds like the sugar things back in the day when I was there. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I forgot about this one. Also, how we know each other. We were talking about shed boosts. I had Anthony DeLuca on the night he flew into Manchester. And then the next night, shed boost, 2 goals.
Yeah, he definitely came in with a hot start. So I'll
Yeah.
attribute that to the shed boost.
Yeah. Hey, we're gonna take what we can, right?
Very true.
And so I also had on Ginner and Finner. And it looks like right before I was coming to the shed, it looks like Manchester's had a busy day. It looks like you just signed a goalie and a defenseman. Did you see this?
Yeah, so both of them are at the rink today. Both seem like great guys, should be welcomed contributions to the team, and hopefully we can watch those guys get suited up here shortly.
So the goalie is Martin Brodeur's son, eh?
Yes, he is. So he's got the 2 sons, and the one is a professional golfer, I take it now, and the other one's here with us.
Well, that's cool. And then the other guy, I think the research team checked him out and at City played for the Jacksonville Icemen. And I'm pretty sure Critch played there before. So small world how guys know each other, right? There's always a connection.
Yeah, exactly.
So where and what are you doing now? I guess you're in Manchester playing for the Storm, eh?
Yeah, in Manchester playing for the Storm. That kind of sums it up. I don't do a whole lot else with my day
You got a
currently.
roommate?
Just yeah, so I live with Steven Johnson.
Ah,
He played in
I hear
Wichita
he's a
last
shed guy.
year.
That's what I've heard. I saw the picture of him and Critch with the Twix, and some of the comments folks from his former squads wrote is that he sounds like a top guy, top bloke, you could say.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the better guys I've ever played with, and I didn't
Maritimer,
know
eh?
him. Yeah, didn't know him before moving in with him, but I couldn't have asked for a better roommate.
Mm-hmm. He must like chocolate, right?
Yes, he does.
That's good. Okay, you don't know what his favorite bar is because it's gonna get messy in Manchester. If
I mean,
I got anything to say about it.
we're pretty close, but I don't think I know his favorite chocolate bar just yet.
Okay, well, how long does he nap on game days? I bet you know that.
Uh, I nap a little bit longer than he does, so I'm not
What are
sure
you?
exactly
You're
his
2 to 3
time.
hours or what?
Yeah, I'm probably a 2.5 hour guy on average.
That's a
Get
healthy
up,
dose. Yeah.
yeah, get up, make some food, and head back to the sheets.
Sorry, what? You sleep?
No, so like I'll sleep, get up, make some food, maybe play a couple games of Call of Duty, and then head back into my room, throw
So
on a
there's
movie.
no
And
pregame skates anymore in the biz.
I'm not sure about anybody else in the league, but we live about 40 minutes away from the rink where we are here in Manchester.
Is that right?
So doesn't the pregame skate doesn't make a whole lot of sense
No,
most days. So we
no.
just kind of
Napping's more important than that. Shit. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Call of Duty, eh? That's how you
Yeah,
spend
big
your days sometimes. What do you get up to in Manchester?
oh, you can literally do anything here. This city is incredible. I
Mhm.
mean, we're right pretty much in the city center. So you walk 5 minutes in any direction, you've got everything you could imagine.
So they must have you living around that area instead of by the rink because they want happy players having fun, maybe? Just thinking out loud.
Yeah, maybe. I don't
Hmm.
know the whole thought process behind it, but whatever it is, I'm on board for it.
Yeah. Okay. Another fight I wanted to ask you about before we keep going here is your tweet, and it said fun with friends, hashtag pillows. And it was you and a dude just throwing bombs, but I couldn't figure out which guy you were. Were you the guy that got dropped, or were you the guy that dropped the guy?
Oh, that's a pinned tweet from 2015. So if it's still up there, I'd hope I was the guy dropping the other guy. But that was my
That was a
first.
wild fight. You guys were throwing them.
Yeah, I was 17 at that time. So it was my first junior A fight and it
That
went
was your first
heavily.
fight.
Yeah, first junior A fight. So that went heavily in my favor on that one. So yeah, people always ask me why I still have it up. I mean, I've got tweets of other fights and everything. It just that one's kind of sentimental as
It's
being the first
memorable.
one.
Yeah,
So
that was a cool fight to watch. I like watching things like that. I find it entertaining, you know?
fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. I think we're done with poster pictures. Where and what are you doing now? So what's your first thoughts of the EIHL and how it's like a league race compared to like full playoffs?
Yeah, so it's we got told by Finner pretty much as soon as we got in here that it's not like a lot of other leagues. It's more so focus on the regular season and the playoffs are fairly short. So you got to kind of come in ready to go. And I mean, we've got a young team who not everybody has pro experience or doesn't have a lot of it.
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of a talking point for them to put across to us in order to get us going right from the start.
Yeah.
And I think it's gone fairly good. Obviously, a lot of guys are still adjusting. We're out of the Challenge Cup now, but just
Oh,
being
really?
going
Because
from
so after the chocolate night, you had to win the next night.
yeah, we lost 5-4.
Oh, sugar and spice. Didn't
Yeah,
know that.
so it's kind of weird navigating that. Like you'll have a league game one night and a Challenge Cup game the next night.
And yeah,
Um,
I know it is weird.
it's a little bit odd, but I mean, if you're playing professional hockey, in my opinion, you should be taking every game you're playing
A
pretty
game's a game.
seriously. So
Yeah, a
yeah,
game's a game, and you got to show up every night because that's how you keep getting jobs. Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
You guys have a really small barn, though, eh?
Yeah, so we play out of Planet Ice in Altrincham. It's not the
It's the big blue tent of Manchester. Yeah,
yeah, it's not the prettiest place to play, but the fans are unbelievable. The building's loud every night. Um,
and now they're gonna
the
start chucking chocolate at you. It's pretty cool,
yeah,
right?
there you go. The
Uh,
front office and our team staff, like they treat us unbelievable. So regardless of the rank, we get treated pretty well.
yeah, well, and that rink's got character, you could say, right?
There you go. That's one way to put it.
So, growing up in Coburg, Ontario, Canada, where exactly is that? I should know that.
It's pretty much halfway between Toronto and Kingston, right on the 401.
Yeah, so you're on the other side of Toronto from me. That's why I don't know that area that well.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm. Kind of. Yeah. So Quinty Red Devils, I played against them. That's AAA. So did you play hometown Coburn growing up and then go AAA when you're older?
I did 1 year AAA, and then unfortunately got cut for my minor Pee Wee and major Pee Wee year. And then once Bantam and Midget came around, I went back up into the AAA system and
So would it
popped your
be a lot
uncle.
of traveling then to go to AAA from Coburg or no?
Yeah. So our zone, we were like a zone team. So we were Coburg to Napanee, and then Bancroft South, I guess it would be. So being on
That's
the edge
yeah.
of the zone, some of
Hmm.
our practices were an hour away,
Yeah.
and majority of our practices were 40 minutes, 45 minutes away. So kudos to my parents for
Getting you
dishing out
there.
the gas money and getting me
Yeah.
there and making it work.
I think I got that ahead of my future. I've been chatting with the little fella about it because he's really showing signs of being quite good. And and I'm gonna have to do it sometime. And my gosh, is it gonna be a lot of driving?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look forward to it though, obviously,
It's the
like
but
those
that's what I
drives.
look forward to, right? It's like tonight I get to go to his practice and we drive there and back, and then when we go to games and like we get the music playing and then you get like an hour and a half in the vehicle, like one-on-one time, it's special times, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. There's some of the memories that I remember the most about my like young hockey career is, the as much as you hate it at the time, the traffic jams and kind of getting nervous. Am I going to be late? And
Mm.
then your dad puts the foot to the floor, or your
And they
mom puts
get
the
you
foot to
there.
the floor too. And
And they get
weird.
you there and they
Sometimes,
always get you there, right?
oh yeah, every time.
Oh yeah, that brings back a memory of mine at a roller hockey tournament in Vegas with the old man, and I think we were going to the semis, and he had slept in. Boy,
Weird
did
in
he?
Vegas?
Yeah,
No way.
yeah. I was about 15 or so, and then when we had to get to the game, boy oh boy, did he drive her! But we got there and we won. So right,
It's all that matters.
yeah. Okay. So any other memorable fight this year other than the Gagnon Lewis ones? Like who else did you fight? Anybody I know? Any shed guys? Probably.
Um, Fought McNally from Sheffield.
Oh yeah.
Not sure if he's been on. That was a good one. That was 2 weeks ago.
I would like to chat with him. I don't know how to contact him yet though.
Yeah,
If
maybe
you fight him
message Davey
again, let him
Phillips.
know to come to the shed. Okay.
Yes, I will. I
And then
will.
what like right at the
Um,
end, of the dust up or melee, just say, hey, by the way, Wally wants you in the shed.
there you go. I fought a guy. I don't even know his first name. His last name's Massey, but I think he's been injured since. I think he dislocated or broke his pinky when I fought him.
Oh.
So I'm not sure how that happened in my jersey or what, but fought him and I'm trying to think of the other one now.
Um
Oh, Scott Allen from Sheffield.
you've been mucking it up against Sheffield, eh?
bit of a rivalry there. It happened.
Yeah, yeah. I really didn't like them when I played against them too. Okay, so anyways, you go from the AAA then to the Port Hope Panthers. That's junior C, right?
Yeah, that's the jungle.
That's like the Kincardine Bulldogs here in town. Yeah.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have a really good team though.
How old are you at this point?
16.
Mm-hmm.
So went
So
in
you're
with
playing
them.
against some 20-year-olds too, though, right?
Actually, so they have an extra year,
Mm-hmm.
right? So their overagers can be up to 22. So I was
Right.
playing against 22-year-olds at 16.
Did you fight?
I did fight. Yeah, there were some
Right.
fights in that league too, but I don't know. I still hold that one, the first one in junior A, as being kind of like my first actual
Right.
go in a league.
So
I was lucky,
when
and
you're in junior C though, are we talking full cages where you got to rip the guy's helmet off and then start punching him?
no, so it was the year I left Ontario to go to British Columbia is when hockey or the OHF or whatever, whoever decided to do it, put cages into junior A and junior C. So when I was there, it was visors and it wasn't as bad. And I'm not cracking my knuckles off guys' metal cages. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's the when I was in junior B, there was fights, there was full melees and like line brawls, the full deal. But like our thing was you drop the gloves and then you'd have to rip the other guy's helmet off, right?
Yeah, see, that just adds a
Because the
whole
cages,
nother.
right? And it's whoever got the other guy's helmet off first really had the upper hand.
Yeah, until I signed junior C, I still had a cage on going to junior A camps and things like that. And I got in a couple fights, and like you get your helmet taken off and you're getting beat up and you can't get their helmet off. And sometimes something switches in your head and you go, you know what? My hand's my hand. Like, oh well.
And you just start
So
hitting the helmet.
yeah, a couple times there's had to be some repairs to my hands and things like that, just from some metal bars of the cage and sides of helmets. And my dad was got pretty efficient with the super glue over the years.
What do your parents do when you're growing up in Coburg, Ontario?
Uh, so my mom's an operations manager for an electrical company,
Mhm.
and then my dad had his own business for a while, a courier business, and now he works for the school board.
Ah, cool. Okay. And then you win it with the Port Hope Panthers, right?
So we won our league, and then we lost in Game 7 of the Ontario final for the Schmalz Cup.
Who beat you?
Essex.
Those punks, eh? Game 7? What was that? Was a close game.
Yeah, so they went up 3-0 in the series. We brought it
Oh,
all the way back, and Game 7 was in our home barn, and they beat us 1-0. Then
one
Game 7,
nothing.
so that was a bit of a
It
heartbreaker.
well, it is heartbreakers. Like when you talk in the shed with people, it's like the winning and losing those game sevens, it does change everything. It changes your memory, it changes the parties after, it changes your whole outlook on how it went. It's like herning blue foxes that like are huge shed favorites that now throw Twix all over the ice at their goalie. I have a gold helmet right there, and they don't. Game 7, fellas. You know? Anyways.
Yeah, and then obviously you continue to the year after a loss like that, or you run into guys later in your career and say you're winning, and they go, "Yeah, well, I got a ring,"
Mm.
and so
The
it
rings,
hurts
yeah.
sometimes. It hurts.
I know it does hurt. So then you won your league that year, but not the full deal. So then you go to the Trenton Golden Hawks. How far away is that from home for you? Where's that?
I actually, it's right near Belleville, so it's actually really close. It's closer than I had to drive for practice for minor hockey. So lived at
Really?
home with my parents for those 2 years, and
That's
just
nice.
made the half an hour trek back and forth to Trenton every day, which wasn't bad at all.
How big's Trenton?
Bigger than Coburg, I'd say probably 35,000.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that area of Ontario. Never get out that way. It's nice though, right? Some water and whatnot, right?
Yeah, everything's right on the water there.
Mm.
Trenton's a nice city, Belleville, and then you get up into Prince Edward County and can't beat it. Sand dunes. Coburg's got a great beach, so summer was fun.
Yeah. So that year you guys win it then. So you guys are good in Trenton then, which is your hometown team basically.
Yeah, we that first year in Trenton, I've never played on a team quite like it. Like we had guys looking for Division 1 scholarships that were overagers. We had a great group of young guys, and we just somehow we gelled as a team and we put it together every night. So it was something special that year.
Well, there's a former Elmira Sugar King that I find this is a weird one. He plays the season for the Elmira Sugar Kings. I think they like win it all or do well. Ethan Skinner. And then he goes and joins your
Yeah.
team after playing no regular season games. And then he goes there and plays 6 playoff games. You just pick up guys. It's like,
Yes. Yeah, so the head coach, he's actually returned there now, is Jerome Dupont, and he kind of runs it like a pro program. Like he
they're
doesn't
gonna just take
he doesn't take shit. If
and
somebody can make
it's
our
not
team
like the
better, he's
family
bringing them in.
feel I'm into. It's a meat market, is what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, the year after that, I actually got traded. So they traded me a
From
month
out of your
month into the
hometown team.
season. Coburg was my hometown team, and the biggest rivalry was Trenton versus
Okay.
Coburg. So I used to love driving
Go
2 minutes to the
yeah.
rink and absolutely murdering those guys on the ice because they cut me and then Trenton signed me.
Right. That would feel really
And
good.
then we and then
And
we
then
were
would
way
you beat
better
up some of their
anyways.
players too, just for fun, just to let them know?
I don't think I ever fought anybody off Coburg, but
Mm.
there was definitely multiple, probably about 100 offers thrown out, and nobody took them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was running guys, and it was
Doing what you
they
wanted.
were they were fun games. They were fun games.
It's yeah, I could picture it. It's like, yeah, with like in hockey, there's times where the big fella can run amok with the other team, and if they have no one that can do anything about it, it's it's not a good feeling as a squad when someone's running amok with you, right? Yeah.
It's really not. So
No.
I
Mm-mm.
don't know if they had guys who just thought they were too good and they could score goals and didn't want to take me out being a guy that didn't get any points, but
Right.
worked in my favor.
Yeah. Yeah. Little room out there. So another guy, small world one here, okay, from Kincardine, Ontario, that played with you for 2 years in Trenton, Ben Shield. He was a
Great guy.
Ripley Wolf with me. He is a great guy. Yeah, we went to the finals the year we played together with the Ripley Wolves. Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
he was a great guy. And I think if I'm not wrong here, I think Ethan Skinner's from Kincardine as well.
absolutely. He's in my pickleball league here in the neighborhood. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah, he's a shed guy. Yeah, no, both of those guys. Yeah, that's why I found it interesting that Skinny went from the Sugar Kings, because we wouldn't leave when I played the Sugar Kings to go to those leagues, but I guess they do now, right? So it's kind of a strange dynamic to bring a guy in mid playoffs that never played the regular season for the squad, though, right? Even
Yeah,
though
it's a
even though Ethan's a dandy and you'd want him on any team, I still find that strange.
yeah, I mean, especially you're worried about team dynamics changing and
Yeah, you're in the
things
playoffs.
things
Like
like
you're in
that.
the playoffs. This isn't like a month left of regular season, right? Like it's weird.
Yeah. We
Mhm.
brought one guy in the second year, didn't play a game for us the entire year. We brought him in for the RBC Cup.
What? How is that
Yeah.
legal?
They had him signed as an affiliate player, but his junior B team went straight to the finals. So that was pretty much right to the RBC Cup. And then we brought him in after their league
So he
finals.
finally comes in as an AP in the final games. Yeah, makes sense. So you guys do win it though. So you guys are just awesome, dominate everybody. But then how'd you do in the
Yeah.
RBC Cup?
We actually finished first in the round robin. And then we lost to the host team 5-2 in the semifinals. It was just drop the ball.
Yeah, that's and they're 1 game playoffs, right? It's not like it's a series.
Yeah, so it's one game, show up or go home.
So the year 2, same thing. You play 21 playoff games this time.
Yeah, a little bit more. We swept the first 2 rounds. Then can't remember who we played in the third round, but the last round went full 7 games.
Mm-hmm. And then you win it again.
We lost the league, and then we were hosting the Dudley Hewitt, so we were the host team in the tournament, and then we ended up beating the team that beat us 2-1 in Game 7, 2-1 in the final tournament game.
Okay. Well, it's fun winning, right? Like being in those big games as a junior player, like when you're 17, 18, 19 years old playing best of sevens and like you're playing for trophies, that's living, eh?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's some of the best feelings that you can have, right? Like you're not getting paid, you're
You're just
not
doing
going
it
to
for the love.
school,
Yeah.
you're pausing your life in order to try and attain something a little bit more. Like you got all your friends that leave high school and go to university who are almost graduated by the time you're even thinking of going. And then it's kind of, you put a lot on the line. So those games, they mean a lot. And it's honestly, you play for the love of the game at that point.
Yeah. And when you win with buddies and juniors, fun shit. So after 2 years though, you're basically you said you got traded out of your hometown. I didn't see research
So
sheet
I got
doesn't see that.
traded.
Or from, yeah.
Yeah. I refused the trade. So I
Oh,
wouldn't
there you
show up
go.
to the other team. And then 2 week and a half, 2 weeks later, the coach came back to me and said, "We made a huge mistake. Will you come back and join our team again?" So I went back
So
to
they had
Trenton and then
traded you.
finished the
You said,
year.
I'm not going. And then so they can't make the trade. And then they're like, okay, we do want you. It's, yeah. That
Yeah.
would have been a tough time for you, though, sitting there waiting for that to happen, to play out.
Yeah, it was I had no idea I was going back. I had wanted nothing to do with them at the time, and it actually took them a couple visits to my house and lunches and stuff for them to convince me, but I was actually looking to go down into the Null that year. When that happened, I just said I was like, I'm done here. Like, get me out of here.
Okay. And then so you do decide to go to the BCHL.
Yeah, so in Trenton we had 2 years back to back RBC Cup runs, and I think we had a total of 4 Division 1 commitments. And that was my goal, to get one of those. And it just, not a lot were coming out of Ontario at the time. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go try my hand out west, and went out there and had an incredible year. Um, Never ended up getting a full scholarship or anything. So, and I'm not paying to play D3. So I went to CIS route, U Sports route.
So that is, you went out to the BCHL trying to get a scholarship. So did you ever think of major
Yeah.
junior? Like, because you do get into some fighting and there's more of that than in school hockey, right?
Yeah. I had thought about it. I didn't really talk to too many teams like at all. There was a couple Q teams that were interested, but I've always been fairly in tune with my academics. So my goal from a young age was to obtain a scholarship. So
Yeah, I
put all my
understand.
eggs in that basket.
Did you get close? Did you talk to any schools?
Yeah, I had talked to a couple and things, but nothing really came out of it. So
Yeah.
I like to think I got close, but I look at the it's probably not a common path that I've taken, but
Well,
it's
it's
worked
not,
out so
but
far.
yeah, well, there are quite a few shed guys I've talked to though that never played major junior and didn't play NCAA, and they did find their way. Like, actually, I think Finner's one of those guys. You know that?
I don't know Finner's background too much. I just see his fights all the time pop up on.
I'm pretty sure he was a Cowichan Valley Capital, and then he went from there to not going NCAA and not major junior and just going pro from there. Yeah.
It's a
But
hell of a trip.
it's a different landscape, nowadays than like all the different paths. It is an uncommon journey you've had to pro hockey, right? Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. And then especially COVID kind of made it a little bit more of an uncommon journey.
Right. So let's get
So
into that. So how do you end up with the University of Windsor? Why is it that school over the other ones? Does the coach recruit you?
yeah, so the coaches do most of the recruiting at those schools. I had a couple other offers in Canada, and I kind of narrowed it down between Laurier and Windsor, and I just had a gut feeling that Windsor was the spot. And my parents are always like, "Whatever, do what you want. Like,
Yeah.
your
So
life. Like, it's
in
your
Windsor,
choice."
what barn do you play in? Not the Spitfire one.
No, we play out of the South Capri Pizzeria Arena or Center. So it's
Oh,
just kind of a small barn, south end of town. It's like
oh.
5 minutes from campus. Nothing special, but good setup.
Yeah, because I went to the under 11 OMHA finals with my Kincard Canuck fellas last year, and we played at the Spitfire barn, and it was really cool for the kids from Kincard here to get to go do that because we got to play on the big sheet, right, where the Spitfires play with the big stadium, and the fellas loved it. I thought it was pretty neat. They got to do that last year. So
Yeah, it's always special being a young player and going into venues like that and being able to
right,
play. I
and they
remember
earned it. They earned it to get there.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But it is a tough town these days. We went there for that tournament, and just speaking of Windsor, I don't think it was at its former glory. Like it did, there is some rough spots now.
Yeah, so Windsor is definitely a border town.
Mhm.
Um, I still live there in the summers and things like that. So I get to see all the nitty gritty. I
That's
actually live
where
right
that's where
down,
you off season now. That's like home, kind of.
for the most part, over the last couple of years, I've stayed there. Well, I guess last season I was supposed to be at school for the year, but ended up leaving to go pro. But last summer I was in Windsor, and yeah, it's it's got a lot of great aspects to it, especially the surrounding area. But you go right into the heart of Windsor, and you're gonna see some shit.
Yeah, that's where our hotel was. The Kincard and Canuck kids did get to see some shit that they don't get to see around here.
Oh yeah,
There's a
the
guy
homeless.
sleeping like right at the front door
Yeah,
of the
the
hotel,
homeless
and like my
popular.
kids don't see that here, right? And
Yeah, the home.
we are fortunate around here that but
Yeah, the homeless population in downtown Windsor right now is a little out of control.
yes. Anyways, let's see here. So the 2 years you did play there, though, you guys were pretty good, eh? And Ethan Skinner's on that team again. Shed guy.
Yeah, so Skinner and I were actually roommates in our first year. So we
Oh,
all
no.
moved. Yeah, so good guy, know him fairly well. And yeah, it was a good 2 years. We got bounced out of playoffs pretty quick both years, but we had pretty good regular seasons. And
And I'm
I
pretty sure
mean,
discussing this at the pickleball matches is due to all the baloney and COVID there is you guys had done your 2 years, but you guys were ramping up to be really good that third year, right?
yeah, so we were supposed to be really good year three. We had some really, good recruits coming in. I ended up breaking my foot in July going into that year. So, and it was a bad break. It didn't heal for 3 to 4 months. So
What
when
were
the
you
season was,
doing?
I was out visiting my brother in Alberta and I went to run into a lake and hit a rock.
Mm.
Yeah. So it wasn't the best scenario. So I was going to miss the start of the season at least. And I was scared it was going to be it, but then the season got canceled. So we were supposed to be really good and would have loved to see the guys be able to play the season and have a good year. But for from a personal standpoint, it was kind
You
of a blessing it got canceled.
you weren't playing either way, probably. Eh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So then all of it's shut down, whatever. But then you do finish school and then decide to turn pro, right? How does that all happen?
So we went back to school. It was a delayed season, so that would have been my fourth year, which was last season. And so I went to school for September, October, and then when November hit, I had a little bit of a falling out with the team, and I went home and got a little angry and decided I'm not going back.
Right.
So I signed with Fort Wayne in the UCHL, and that is a place to play hockey. That is an
I've heard that
incredible.
people say it's,
Oh, it is incredible.
is that right? Eh?
So
So you were
yeah,
there
I
for
mean, you're getting
32
like,
games played.
yeah. So I couldn't have asked for a better start to pro hockey, just being in there with like Sean Sidlowski, the Jones brothers. One of them played for the Islanders for a little bit. Um, Matt Bowden's, he's a Maritimer. He's close with Critch. Just a lot of unbelievable guys and hockey players.
Yeah.
And I mean, the hockey support in that community is next to none.
Really? How many fans are we
Yeah,
bringing in a night?
8 or 9 thousand a night.
Really?
Yeah.
You know who I didn't realize was still playing hockey at that point that was on that squad? Because when I'm looking at East Coast rosters nowadays, there ain't many folks I know anymore. But one guy that was still mucking it up, I don't know if you crossed past him, Jamie Milam. He
Yes.
went to
Yeah.
Northern Michigan University when I was at Western Michigan, all the same 4 years. So we used to muck it up against each other back then. He was still doing her in the coast.
Yeah. So he actually had a hell of a start to the year too. I think he had 4 goals in the first 7 games or something.
Big
And my
slap shot,
first,
eh? Could really get the
yeah,
hips into her.
yeah, my first day with the team, he invited me over to his house with his wife for dinner. So I used to call Milo dad.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Um, well, that's good. I think he's done now, it looked like, but so you enjoyed your
He's
time
injured
there.
right now, actually.
Oh, really? So he does want
He's
to keep going, maybe.
yes. I think he's going to keep going once his hip sorts itself out.
Well, may as well. So that season though, you end up with Kansas City. So how do you get traded or what?
I got traded the morning after rookie party on a bus.
Shoot, you're not feeling good already.
So yeah. So the conversation was the coach asked me pretty much how rookie party went, and I'm still sitting there half in the bag. he goes, yeah, like heard you had a great night. Like that's pro hockey. Like glad you enjoyed it. And then all of a sudden he goes, I got to rip the Band-Aid off though. Like we traded you to Kansas City.
And also,
And I
this
was
is
like,
pro hockey.
ah, yeah, welcome. This is life.
Yeah.
And Kansas City really wanted me, I guess. So they wanted an offensive defenseman from there. And Kansas City said the only way to make the trade was if I went the other way. So
Mm.
packed my shit, flew back to Fort Wayne, picked it up, and drove 13 hours through a snowstorm to make it to Kansas City. So that was an experience in itself as well.
Oh, so Kansas City, what's that place like? That's a football town, right? They like hockey?
Um, yeah. So like, I mean, the fan support was pretty good. I think the least amount of fans we got was 2,000, but some games you get up closer to 4.5, 5. But I mean, anywhere you go, you're gonna get your diehard fans that love it. And
How
we
I
were
don't know how
treated.
long Kansas City's been around. I don't know if they were in the league back when I was mucking it up in the coast.
They used to call it Missouri Mavericks.
I don't even know if that was around.
I
Yeah.
don't know the history too well.
Okay, so you were there for 17 games played. Were you guys any good?
No,
No. Okay.
no.
So that is your rookie year of pro. How many times did you fight in the coast in that many games? Do you think?
I think I hit my limit. I think I got 10.
What do you mean limit? You can only fight
They
10
have
times?
yeah, until after your 10th fight in the coast now, you start getting larger suspensions.
Why?
I don't know, it's the coast.
Because at the 11th, because at the 11th, then that's okay.
Yeah, I gotta sit out the next game. Tragic. Weird.
That is just doesn't make much sense. Why don't
No,
you just
I
let the boys be
agree.
boys? But couple
That's a
guys
kid's
that were
play.
on that team, the shed boosted Anthony DeLuca, but then you had a former Cardiff Devil, Jesse Mitchin.
I didn't know he played in Cardiff, but yeah,
He was my line mate for a lot of my season in Cardiff. Yes. Me, him, and Matthew
nice.
Myers.
Yeah,
You'd
no,
sprinkle in some Doug Clarkson, you know? Yeah.
he's a great guy, and he was living with his wife there, and he actually ended up having his baby boy when we were there.
Is that
Or
right?
no,
Mitch is a
he had
father.
he had his baby boy there. Yeah, so he
Cool.
finished last year in Toledo, but
He was
yeah,
a
he had a
young
baby
pup when he
boy,
was in
healthy and
Cardiff.
everything.
Yeah. That's cool. He was just a young puppy when I was playing with him. Yeah. Long time ago now. And then is the guy that plays for Devils now on that team too, Marcus Crawford? Is he a Devil? Is that a name I remember?
Yeah, yeah. So he made the switch this year from Kansas City over to Cardiff.
Right.
He has quite the resume.
He's pretty, yeah, he had
So
some
last year
points
he
there. It looked like,
was
yeah.
captain of the All-Star team, All-Star game MVP, and then
Really?
led the league in defensemen for assists, I believe it was.
Oh, yeah. Cardiff can kind of get whoever they want nowadays, you know? Never used to be like that. When I first went there, you know, they were taking guys like me. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
there's some teams in this league with some money.
yes, there is. So how did you decide to go to the EIHL in Manchester? You'd only played 1 year pro.
Yeah, so originally my plan was to play in the coast for a couple of years and work my way up to attempt to crack an AHL lineup.
Yeah.
But me and the management in Kansas City again weren't exactly seeing eye to eye. And
Yeah.
and then when contract talk came around, they didn't give me anywhere close to a reasonable offer. And then they decided not to answer my texts or phone calls for 3 weeks. And
So it's
from
time to
past
move on.
experience, yeah, from past experiences from players before that have been through that system, I know that they kind of blackball guys and hold their rights and stuff like that. So I
It is, there
just,
is some strange stuff in the coast when it's like you're in the East Coast and like there's teams that can take guys' rights and then just screw them. Like, and then like the guy's
yeah,
career's over because someone didn't like him, you know?
yeah. So I just decided to remove myself from the situation. I was looking at overseas options, and lucky enough to get on with On It Sports Management, who honestly the head guy there is Chris Bailey, and he talked to, I don't even know how many teams about me, but a couple different leagues and everything. And I'd heard a lot about Manchester from Kyle Hope, and he enjoyed it, and Liam Morgan liked it, and things like that. So when I found out they were interested and I got their offer, I said, yeah, that's the one. Let's do it.
So did you chat with Ginner before? Do you guys have like a shed chat like this to figure each other out, or no?
So Ginner and I have a bit of a background. He only lives about 45 minutes away from me, like our hometowns.
Uh-huh.
So when he was still playing and I was a lot younger, we'd actually skate together sometimes in the summer. So he actually called me. He was like, "Hey, like I'm Matt Ginn," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm Chase Ruddy. Like we've skated together like a couple times." He's like, "Oh, that's how I knew the name," and we kind of had a good laugh about that. But yeah, so he just kind of talked and said like, "We like your game. We like what you bring to the table," and I said, "Yeah, don't expect power play or points, and you're gonna kind of what you see is what you get, meat and
Yeah.
potatoes." And he said that's what we want, so it was a good fit for both, and we made it happen.
Well, that's cool. I like the roster they put together, and it seems to me like if they're putting in money into players at this point in the season, they just bring in two guys today that obviously they think they got a group that they can do something with. Because when you think about Manchester in the past, if they don't think they got the squad and they don't think it's the year, they maybe aren't going to invest that much more in a squad. And I think it's a pretty exciting time in Manchester. There's a chocolate storm brewing, and they're putting in money into the team to try and like be near the top, right?
Yeah, so obviously actions speak louder than words, and right from the start of the year, they said that we wanted to have a team that competed in the top half and made waves in the league this year, and they've put their money where their mouth is, and they're
Yeah.
making things happen. So it's nice not to just hear things and not have the action put behind it, but to actually have things done. And
Well, and
I,
I'd say we're even going to help sell tickets once Manchester. It's a buzz around town about all these chocolate coming out of the crowd. People are going to be like, "What's happening in that arena?" And then we're going to be selling more tickets. And like you're bringing DeLuca, now you're bringing in these other two guys. Like, obviously, if they want to give her that, they have some resources that maybe they've spent it now. But like, it's nice that you guys are going for it, because in like that league style format, if you're near the bottom, man, she could be a long year, right?
yeah, so obviously, like we've seen, actually, I don't know if there's any other league in the world maybe that has fans as active as this league on Twitter and social media. So we see a lot of the complaints and everything from teams that are near the bottom and fans just kind of,
The fans
I don't
complain
even
even when they're near
know.
the top too.
Yeah, fair
they're,
enough.
they're not
They're
allowed. You're not
vocal.
allowed to lose anymore.
Exactly. So um yeah, hopefully the chocolate catches on. Maybe you should get a chocolate
Sponsorship.
sponsor.
I know.
Set that up. Monetize it that way.
Well, then you got to have a sales team that's like calling them and bugging them. I don't have time for that. I only have time to talk in the shed, you know?
Well, your kid's what, 11 or 12 now? Get them going. Start them young.
Yeah, get him in the sales team. Yeah. Get his spare time, give him his part-time job. um, but no, thank you so much. I don't know what else I got here. Did you guys have a Halloween party?
We did have a Halloween party.
What did you dress up as?
I went as Dwight Goodman from Dodgeball, hence
Yes,
the handlebars.
right. Who do you think had the best outfit?
Oh, James Downey had an like I'm talking like down to every detail. He was one of the brothers of Grimsby, and it was pretty electric.
I think hockey team Halloween parties are some of the best parties that happen, right? I miss that shit.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was fun.
Mhm. Okay. Well, good luck with everything in Manchester, and you guys just need to win, right? Or else the fans are gonna have to let the chocolate melt in their pocket. If you guys win, she's gonna be a storm, right?
Yeah, absolutely. A little
We're
bit
gonna
of a
get the
chocolate
town a
storm never hurt
buzz.
anyone. Let's do it.
Yeah. And this has been another episode of Zero Ales and Hockey Tales with Ruddy and Wally.